Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to the RedAss podcast. This is going to be episode 15.
Whoop.
I was waiting for it. This is Rob White fighting Texas A class of 2014.
And this is Roy May fighting Texas A class of 2015. Sorry, you caught me off guard. I was looking for something on my phone, and I scrolled past Tom Campbell's tweet of goat cheese on top of a steak for lunch. I lost all complete.
It's still.
Yeah. I'm like, what were we talking about?
And nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
man.
but so we got a lot to cover this week, man.
Football's back. We made it. We survived week one. We have officially.
We survived getting to week one, and then we also survived week one.
Exactly. And trust me, we're definitely going to get into the meat and potatoes here shortly, of course, with the big elephant in the room, and that was the Texas A&M Vanderbilt game. But before
Vanderbilt game? I don't know what you're talking about.
Good old Vandy. But no, we're going to touch on a couple things beforehand, just kind of maybe take a quick look at the top 25, maybe some shocks, some not shocks that took place in our week one, I guess technically week 4 for college football. But
really week one.
Yeah,
for
really week one for anybody who cares. So let's go ahead and go. First big shock of the day, Kansas State goes on the road to Oklahoma and takes them down 38-35 after trailing at one point 21-7.
Yeah, we were getting we had the restaurant running, and I didn't get a chance to watch a lot, so I was just kind of looking at scores when I could.
Right.
And really, I was just paying attention to the SEC games, and then I looked down and saw the OU score, and I just laughed my ass off. I've obviously got a chance like later tonight to watch the college football final, and
right.
So all the top 25 stuff I saw. Well, at least some highlights. I didn't. Again, I wasn't even locked in on it. I tell you what, I was done Saturday night.
Right.
Like between being back at the restaurant, that was only the second day it was open, and
right.
And you add in, obviously have problems because it's a restaurant. The only time you worry is if everything's running smoothly.
Of course.
So
right.
Between that and then just kind of getting really geared up for A&M. I saw some stuff here and there. I was trying to flip back and forth on a ton of different games.
Right.
And then the A&M game, it just emotionally draining game. And that was while watching the Stars, which was even more emotionally draining. Seriously, by the time it was all done,
right.
I tried to watch college football final and I was just pooped. I don't know if it's because I'm old or it was just legitimate sensory overload.
Right.
And knowing that I had to watch West Ham the following day, which in and of itself is stressful.
Always. But yeah, so it was 24 unanswered from them. So they came back and
those are one of the highlights I saw.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
Yeah. So 24 unanswered from Kansas State. I mean, looking pretty fresh. And I don't know what's going on with Oklahoma and Kansas State, but just OU just can't seem to get over that hump last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, but what OU really did is it showed its true colors yet again. Is OU is going to go out there, they're going to play pretty good football, and they're going to score, but then they're going to give you the ball, and then they have to play defense. Right. And just OU, the few years that you've seen true success at OU has been when they've had a really good defense, and no offense. I mean, if Kansas State can mount that kind of comeback against you, you don't have a good defense.
Speaking of lack of defense here, let's take a look at another game that took place in the Lone Star State. Battle of the Silver Spurs going on up in Lubbock. You had Texas take Texas Tech to overtime and won that game. It didn't
go to overtime.
It went overtime. It went to overtime. And what was crazy about it
was... right. That's right. Because the onside kick, and then they tied it up. That's right.
What was crazy about it was Texas Tech at one point was up 15 with about 3 minutes to go.
One of the most fascinating meltdowns to watch. I did see... That was one of the flip-around games I was trying to track. Everything was kind of happening at the same time.
Right.
And that's another thing. Like, Tech, you say the same thing. When you allow epic comebacks, not epic, but when you allow teams to hang around and then all of a sudden you just can't stop anybody, it's the defense has got to be 4 quarters. But nobody ever said Tech was going to be good, much less have a good defense.
No.
And I'll tell you right now, if their quarterback Bowman, who I mean, the kid can sling it, but you want to talk about some of the most poor decision making. This is one I saw like a full highlight reel. It was like every time Texas Tech Texas Tech special teams coach, that dude needs a raise.
Yeah.
Like every time they did something great though, he would literally turn around within 1 or 2 plays, throw a pick.
Right.
And you're at home-ish, this with smaller crowds.
Right.
And you have all the momentum and you literally just give it right back to him on a platter. But then but then you're still at 15. Like you've
Right.
done that, and you're still at 15. So it's the Big 12 is it's going to be like the first one to 50 or 55 every week. That's kind of what
pretty
it feels
close.
like.
That's what it's looking like. So
Which doesn't bode well for them in the playoff if they get there.
Yeah, it's assuming anybody gets out of there unscathed right now. So, like I said, that was, like the couple of Big 12 games that took place that really had any kind of, I won't even call them stakes, but ones that were in. Then you had, in the SEC, you did have Florida take down Ole Miss.
So I got to completely, So, and I'm kind of glad last week we had some technical difficulties. We did an episode and it got erased. And thankfully, y'all didn't have to hear some of my terrible picks that would have occurred. But I went on the fan show, and I've been I've been beating this drum, and I'll guess, again, it's one game against Ole Miss. But Florida looked good. I got to give it to them. I wasn't buying Florida. I wasn't buying Trask. Obviously, you want to see what they do, this coming week. And the first week anomalies, which I think we've seen.
Plenty of them.
I can think of one real quick. But Florida looked good, man. I mean, you don't put 51 points. But they gave up 35 to Ole Miss.
Exactly.
But Lane Kiffin's running the ball now, which is, he's learning. Mm-hmm. The machine is learning. I think the only reason I think the Ole Miss, the Ole Miss, experimentation with Lane Kiffin isn't going to work because they're going to end up on sanctions. I just don't have any faith in Lane Kiffin to stay out of trouble. I don't think he's going to get fired because they suck.
No.
Now, Mike Leach, I thought was going to miserably fail.
But
to an extent, the jury's still out though, man. Like LSU lost a ton.
They did
a ton, and I don't care what anybody in the swamp was expecting to see. They lost a ton, and they sure as hell weren't ready for Mike Leach to come in and throw the ball like 800 times.
Right.
What do you have, like 30 some odd pass attempts in the first half?
It was ridiculous. Yeah, no, Mississippi State came out slinging, and it really showed. I mean, granted, this game was back and forth for the majority of the go.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was typically answer to answer, but it wasn't like these Big 12 shootouts. It was pretty well maintained. You did have one point where Mississippi State had kind of gotten themselves a little bit of cushion towards the end, and then fourth quarter LSU was able to tie back up before Mississippi State finally pulled away there at the end. But hats off to Mike Leach and his crew just coming in here. First game taking down the defending national champs. I mean, that's awesome. Granted, once again, it's a depleted LSU, and I'm not going to put a lot of stake in this because it is early.
Well, tell me if you've heard this before. A new coach comes into a powerhouse or like a power football league, even though the SEC changed a little bit,
Right.
has a dynamic quarterback,
Right.
and goes in and just blows their doors off.
What does that sound like?
Yeah, and then eventually what happens to that coach? He ends up in Arizona.
Right.
All right. So
No specific example.
yeah. And don't get me wrong, they did what they did. There was no gimmick to it. I mean, relative to how the SEC plays football, I guess you could call it gimmicky. But man, if you watched, I watched Leach when he was out at Wazoo.
Yeah, they look good.
That's the offense he runs, man.
It's the offense he's always run.
But it will, and that's the problem. Whether it worked, it worked one week. Whether or not it will work over time, because the defensive coordinators in the SEC are just like everything else in the SEC when it comes to football. It's going to be a little bit higher tier. That's why you look at all these other colleges when they want to hire position coaches or they want to hire a coordinator. People look at the SEC and they're like, "Well, make him say no." Well, for as much shit as you talk about the SEC, it's odd that we're the first place you look for coaches, for coordinators.
Right.
So it's, but it will remain to be seen if he can maintain that against SEC defensive coordinators.
Right, over time for sure. And I think as people will adapt to him, I think we'll see a little bit more of a balance. And I think a lot of it's going to come down to talent with Mississippi State as well. I just don't know if that's going to maintain, but we will certainly check it.
He'll never be able to recruit at a level like a Bama and LSU.
No.
So Leach he's got to have his quarterback. If Leach can recruit and always get the quarterback that he really truly wants,
right?
He'll be able to run a decent program. And from what I've seen, the fan base of Mississippi State doesn't demand a whole lot.
No. It's because the expectations aren't super high there.
They're not, and they're okay with that. Like, they don't want to be doormats. Make an occasional really cool bowl. But just go bowling every year.
Beat Ole Miss.
And don't lose to Kiffin.
Yeah, exactly.
So he could be there a really long time, and that's if he ends up going, a touch over 500 in his tenure there.
Right. So on a couple other quick notes as we kind of wrap up this segment, we do have Georgia did take down Arkansas, but it took
That
a minute.
score, I saw a bunch of that game. That score is not indicative of
No.
that game at all.
Not even.
Because it was, 7-5 at the half?
At the half, and only after they kicked a field goal right at the half.
Yeah, and so Georgia's got some problems, I think, because, Arkansas just dominated that first half.
Right.
Just
It was
full-blown
crazy.
dominated. Like, we looked like doo-doo in our game, but, I watched the game and kind of, at no point was I really scared about losing to Vandy. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Right.
it didn't matter kind of what was going on. I just kind of always felt like, look, the talent will eventually, by the end of 4 quarters, rise to the top, and we'll be okay. Between the talent and the coaching.
Right.
But, dude, Georgia was behind.
Yeah,
And
for
they
a
were
while.
behind for half the game.
Right.
They couldn't get anything going.
And then finally sparked in this.
And
in the
Arkansas is
third
no
quarter,
good.
but No.
That's just, Arkansas ain't good.
So.
And yeah, so that one was interesting to see. I don't know anything about the Tennessee game other than the score. I don't really. I'll be honest. I don't really care other than the fact that I'm thrilled to see Will Muschamp lose a game.
Right, and then you had Alabama and Missouri.
And Bama did what they should have done.
Right.
That was exactly how you do first week coming out of COVID.
Right.
I'm sure there were probably Bama fans who were like, "How come we didn't hang 50?" But yet again, Jalen Waddle's a total freak.
Right. But yeah, they went in there, they put it up, made it 35-3 in the third quarter, and then they phoned it in for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And that was fine. They did what they did.
That's how you do it.
Exactly how you do it, especially against SEC opponents. So other than that, really,
Army was
Army.
hanging tough for about 2.5 quarters.
Right. I did see the Army
And that
score.
was without the offense wanting to do anything.
Right.
So honestly, I watched a good bit of the Army game because
Right.
obviously, but the Army defense is like, if Cincy is good, if they're good, and remember, Army's a service academy,
Right.
So if Cincy's good, like within their conference, then the Army defense is kind of legit this year,
Right.
So if they can get the offense going, they got a young kid running the option. It's the triple option. He's good. You can see he just needs a lot more snaps.
Right. And like I said, they hung tough with them for quite
And
a
we
bit.
threw the ball.
Right.
Like forward. It was awesome a bunch of times.
Right, which is not
And
common.
at Army like 2 is a bunch. So
Right, exactly. So,
did you see us for like an air raid? We had 3 passes.
like, what the hell? No, that's great. Like I said, so that one, other than that, the only other really game of note, you did have Pittsburgh took down Louisville, a tight game, and then you had Miami ran roughshod over Florida State.
Dude, I do the fan show on TexAgs on Thursdays.
Right.
And Sutton, the guy that we brought on, he came on for a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. Like, he had Louisville as a sleeper.
Right, and they're still asleep.
yeah. Like he had them going to the ACC championship with Clemson.
No,
and he said it. I'm like, well, I won't take it as fact, but I can't see them refute it because, even in a regular football year, I probably wouldn't have a lot to say about Louisville. So I was thinking maybe he saw something, but down the toilet bowl they circle right now.
And so they're 1-2.
That's 2 weeks. Yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row.
Right. So like I said,
We just don't care about Florida State.
yeah, who cares? Get them out of here.
You could have given me a massive line, I would have taken Miami. Florida State is in a bad way.
Bad way. So
Couldn't have happened to a nicer group of folks.
No, not even a little bit. So I guess this finally gets us into our game. So Texas A&M Vanderbilt, final score 17-12. I know coming into this, obviously our line was like 31 or 29, depending
30.
on which.
We on the fan show, I think we picked it at 30 and a hook.
30 and a hook. So it was just one of those games that they were anticipating a lot of offense out of us, and ended up being a little more offensive than offensive, if you catch my drift.
It was offensive, all right.
So I guess we can definitely look at some points. I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and go about it this way. Let's go over the positives. Let's go ahead and talk about the things that we liked.
It's a good thing we don't do this on video because
Right.
I'm not sure y'all appreciate the faces I'm making right now.
No, but we need to. So give me a positive. Like give me your one big takeaway that you liked from the game.
I have a couple of positives,
Okay,
but unfortunately, literally, they all have caveats.
that's fine.
So Anaya Smith is absolutely a positive. That kid
Sure.
is electric.
He's very talented.
But Apparently, he's still capable of a bonehead play every once in a while.
And I think that one, and I know which one we're talking about, and that's the hey, we're going to return it from the end zone thing. I think that was first game jitters. Had to be.
I mean, that doesn't even make sense to be jitters.
It shouldn't be, but that's about all I can attribute it to.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that play. I'm trying not, but in space, he's trying to be positive. Stay positive, jerk.
That was the only play that I saw in person. Like before I went into dinner, because it was my birthday on Thursday, and parents and crew, we all went down to Galveston. And right before we walked into dinner, I saw that play in the bar. I was like, oh, dear God.
Oh, happy birthday to you.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to see before I went in.
Yeah, nice appetizer. It's a dumb sandwich.
Yeah.
But he's electric.
No doubt.
And it's hilarious last year how much everybody kept, banging away saying, good Lord, give him the ball more. And when you do, good things happen.
He does good things.
Spiller went north of 100.
Yeah, on only 8 carries.
However, he should have gone north of 200. We should have given him the damn ball more.
I'd say run the damn ball. You're going to see me tweet RTDB quite a bit this year. And it's
not a roll typo.
No, it's not. It's literally run the damn ball. Yeah. It's really not that complex, guys. It's like we have such great talent in that backfield, and for whatever reason, we just don't feel the need to utilize it as much as we do. I don't know why.
I'm just sitting here with 1,000-yard stare, trying not to get angry. Stay positive.
Stay positive. So that'll spill over.
My other positive.
All right.
You know what? I might have two, but I'll have to ask a question because I can't remember.
Go for it.
But my other positive would be the defense.
Defense looked pretty solid outside of third down conversions.
The offense gave them a lot of opportunities.
Right.
And our offense gave Vandy a lot of opportunities, but the defense was held them to 12 points. What else are you going to ask?
I'm going to say
Vandy or no, if you hold every opponent to 12 points, then we are going to go undefeated.
That gives you a good chance to win a football game.
Absolutely.
Every time.
And I tell you what, a freshman quarterback that looked not like a freshman quarterback at Vandy. Mm-hmm. That's the funny thing. You have kids that have played before the season starts and they play with jitters. You have a true freshman come in,
right, and
he doesn't understand what it is to have jitters, so he's just going to go out there and play the game.
Well,
almost reckless some of the windows he was thrown into.
Well,
he's going to be good.
Well, here's the thing, and you're playing in a watered-down away environment in that case, because it's a watered-down environment.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But what makes it, like I said, especially with the freshman quarterback, we don't have film on the kid. We don't know anything about the kid. I mean, other than maybe some things that we may have read up on a scouting report. But even then, this kid came in here, and we didn't necessarily have a great game plan for him, and we still held him to 12 points. But every pass that he would throw was just especially of the tough ones. I mean, those were just damn good passes.
Good. He's got a good arm. I don't know if it was they were good reads or lucky reads. You don't know with the freshmen. Some freshmen will go out and they'll have a really good game because they just got really lucky, and that's okay too.
Sure.
Yeah, look, he looked really good. And I think if Vandy can build a team with him around it, maybe Vandy won't be the doormat.
Right.
Of course, I say doormat, and we cleared him by a grand slam and a solo shot.
Right.
So, you beat the doormat by 5 points, and you get. So we're done with the positive, right? Oh, you could hear the band on the TV cast. That was a positive for me.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's
not as many fans, so the band definitely. I mean, I wasn't there, but it seems like it echoes in the stadium more with more empty seats,
which is cool.
Yeah,
and love the band. So get the positives take away, and I'll echo some of those. I'll definitely say Isaiah Spiller was one of mine. I feel like anytime I would see an update, it was like, oh yeah, he broke off a 20-yard, 30-yard, 57-yard run. It's
I mean, like you said, 8 carries.
8 carries. I mean, the kid absolutely's got speed and talent, and I absolutely want to see that. So
if he gets 117 yards on 8 carries, maybe give it to him more than 8 times.
Please do that. So like I said, positives there. Oh, and I guess one final positive I'll throw in there. Uniforms look good. They look clean.
Uniforms look good.
The uniforms look clean. They were real, like I said, just exactly what we hoped they would look like.
So if we weren't going to dive into this further, just to update, if you didn't know the score and you just listened to our positives, we had to go with the uniforms look good option. So
they look great.
If you knew nothing about the outcome of the game, that would tell you that it probably wasn't that good of an outcome. Because we're like, well, I could hear the band and the uniforms look good.
Right.
Excuse you?
So we'll go ahead and flip this into the down thumb position.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and go into the negatives. And
let's get miserable.
Let's get miserable for a minute. So couple of takeaways. I want to hear
Couple.
what I want to hear what you got. So things we can talk about.
It would almost be easier to talk about, like, everybody listening. Like, I'll just email you literally a script of every single play, the play-by-play for the game.
Right.
And what I'll do is I'll highlight like the 9 that didn't suck.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was, man. Okay. Where do I start? I'll just start at the beginning.
Sure.
Flat. Coming out flat. And please tell me the whole, well, it's been a weird year in these trying times, and the training camp's been different, a lot of blah, blah. I don't give about that shit, because every single team has dealt with this.
Right.
Every single. So don't give me the friggin' excuse. They came out, they looked like crap. They looked like they weren't ready to play football. And in between missed passes, dropped passes, terrible reads, like just...
missed assignments, all kinds of crazy
just
crap.
all over the place,
Right.
and it's frustrating because it's Vandy,
Right.
and it's supposed to not be that way with Vandy. And if Vandy doesn't win 7 games, we're gonna look back at this and be like, man, that really was a stinker. We really sucked,
Right?
Because that was a really bad game.
Yeah.
I thought the defensive front settled in and played really well.
Sure.
I think the secondary had some glimpses of looking really good.
Well, the interceptions were nice.
Right, that's a missed assignments. Leon O'Neal plays 100 miles an hour with his hair on fire.
That was
which
good
is
to see.
awesome, but
Right.
better teams will take advantage of that.
Right.
So I love Leon, and I hope he literally just takes like a tiny shred of just insert a tiny shred of caution into his flying around. The receivers were just completely unimpressive.
Mm-hmm.
Weidermeyer's Weidermeyer.
Right.
So there you go. There's not a positive.
There's not a positive or negative there. He's there.
Well, no,
Right.
but like when he was doing his thing, it's great to have him. Yeah.
Right.
But the refusal to run the ball more with Spiller.
Right.
The refusal to put in the freaking game-changing talent that you recruited. Achain doesn't get a snap. Demas doesn't get a snap. Like, why even suit him out?
Right.
Why make him waste the tape? We're in a world where we're trying to not be as wasteful, right? Because everything's changed. We got this whole different outlook on our lives. Maybe we shouldn't waste the athletic tape if they're not going to see the friggin' field. So I don't know why you even bother recruiting a dude that's 6'5", he's like a Megatron or Mike Evans starter kit,
right.
And you're just going to let him sit there and stare at really kind of crappy football.
Right.
What's the point? And Achain has stupid speed, and stupid speed makes amazing plays. But you know how fast you run the 40 standing on the sidelines? You know how fast you can run in pads when you're not doing anything but drinking water? Like, put the dudes in, man, because it's not like the guys in front of him were making game-changing plays.
No.
It was bad. I mean, it was mediocre football, and you've got to do something to inject a little life into it. And there was nothing there. And we couldn't hit open receivers.
No.
We couldn't hit a Chase Lane wide open in stride. Because that goes from a 20-yard pass probably to a 50-yard touchdown if you can just hit him in stride. And it's not like I was asking you to throw the ball 75 yards to do it.
No.
But it's all these little things that we haven't addressed. It's like watching last year, only maybe a step back. Now, I will pause, put a little oxygen in my brain, try and get my face to go a little less red. I get it. As we look around, the first game has been really weird for some teams that were supposed to be really good,
right.
And some teams that were supposed to be really bad, had some really good first weeks. So this isn't like a burn down the program, start from scratch. Absolutely not. My outlook on the season hasn't changed, but this game in a bubble is going to piss me off. Did.
Right. I'll tell you what this game honestly reminded me a lot of. And honestly, the scoreline wasn't all that different. Granted, it was middle of the season when it happened. And it was a frustrating game, too. Think about this. So go back to 2014. Put yourself in your headspace there. We are playing against Louisiana Monroe at home at Kyle Field. We're wearing our nice little 1939 throwback uniforms. First game with Kyle Allen as the quarterback, the guy on the field.
It's
But,
Speedy.
yeah, Speedy was in the game. Yeah, so that was the final score of that game was 21-16.
To Monroe.
To Monroe
on our kick-ass 39 throwback.
Yeah, and that was a frustrating game for
Miles
me.
Garrett.
Right. I mean, we had all the talent on the field. We had everything going that pretty much would have guaranteed that we should have walked away with this game with an absolutely massive scoreline. Obviously, didn't happen.
And all we walked away from the game with was questions,
a lot of questions,
and a really disgruntled fan base.
Right.
So in that respect, it is absolutely the exact same.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, Vandy, but UL Monroe, y'all. Okay, that's just how it is, man. Just as far as expectations, I'm not saying that you're not better than I don't want to have the 5 actual Vanderbilt football fans on the planet come after me.
But what happened then that next week was we came out and we took care of business at Auburn. So I'm not saying that, like I said, what I will take at this point is, yes, there are a lot of things that went wrong. Yes, there were a lot of things that we're going to sit here and scratch our head and wonder. Personnel decisions on both sides of the ball. We're looking at various issues, but at the same time, we are looking at this game in a bubble, and that I don't think this necessarily will reflect on the talent level of this team in the coming weeks. The problem is, unfortunately, your next 3 games are going to be, Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi State, which are all going to be tests, especially if what we saw with Mike Leach is true. It's going to be a very interesting next several weeks, and that's going to be really the tail of the tape about this team.
This is literally like going from the feeder road directly to the Autobahn with no ramp.
Right.
Like, you just got to go, bro. And like you said, and I people understand, this has not changed my outlook on this season.
No.
But I can absolutely sit here and destroy the crap game that was.
And it was.
And you know what? And it's nice to be able to sit here and be angry about a win.
Right.
All right.
I'd much rather be angry about a win than a loss. Every day.
Absolutely. Yeah. But, and here's the thing. A lot of things got to get fixed, right? We got to get better. We got to get better. We got to get better. Well, what about this? We got to get, well, no shit, we got to get better. Turns out everybody else we're going to play is better than Vandy, so we better get better. But, let's talk about the things that are easy to change.
So I would say probably my first thing that I would like to see.
The first thing, you better get this right, because I'm telling you the first thing.
I will say the first thing I want to see above all else, I want to see that young talent on the field. That's what I want.
Well, no. I'm saying, like, what mistakes or what do we do bad, like, on the field?
On the field. Oh.
But we're talking about things we can fix.
Okay.
The punt.
All right, the punt. Yeah. Okay. Special teams. All right.
So easy to fix, though.
Yeah.
I wish we had a special teams coordinator.
Right, now special teams, yeah. No, see, special teams issues, those are easy to fix. Hey.
Those are discipline things, and discipline that can fix.
As my dad always told me, and every coach I've ever been with has told me, you plant your feet on the 10. If it goes over your head, let it go. It's not your worry at that point. If they down it at the 1, it's a good punt. You just got to deal with it.
You just got to eat it, man.
But if you know it's going in the end zone, get the hell out of the way. That's like the first thing, right? And like I said, I didn't really see much on our kicking game on the other side. I didn't see if there was anything bad with our punter. I mean, what, the Australian kid, did he do okay? I have no idea.
No, that very specifically. Like, across the board, I didn't think special teams were bad. I mean, but I'm talking about kind of mistakes. So those are the mistakes. You can fix that. See what I'm saying?
It's easy fix.
So this isn't like, our offensive scheme is bad. This is these are mistakes we can fix. So let's just talk about that first.
All right, yeah. Easy fix.
So easy fix, that discipline right there. Because you do something like that against Bama, and you will absolutely pay for it, and it'll change the game.
Number 2 for me, ball security.
Maybe that should be number 1.
I'd say number 1 should be ball security.
But ball security is a little different, because that's something that you can't teach in a week. It's something that the ball security has to be a concern, especially with Kellen.
Right.
One player can't put the ball on the turf 3 times.
No.
You just can't.
And granted, one of them really wasn't his fault, but the other 2...
Okay.
Yeah.
Good players don't put the ball on the turf twice in a game.
That's true.
Right?
And he put them on 3 times.
That's a concern that you'll have to monitor the rest of the year. Because, again, that's not something that you just flip a switch. You don't hey, just don't... put your heels on the 10 and don't back up, and you'll never fumble the ball. So, ball security is a little, there's a little bit more to fixing stuff like that. Wide receiver drops. Mm-hmm. It may not even be a fix. It might be a jitters thing.
Might be.
I mean, look at the name. Like, there were probably people out there, and people at the game and people at home, that had to have like the roster pulled up because they'd be like, "Who's that?
Right.
Who's this guy?" Trying to figure out all the new names we have out wide.
Well,
so,
and numbers that have flipped around and various other
and maybe it's jitters.
Might be.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe it's jitters. Maybe that gets fixed.
Right.
Okay, so now those are two pretty big things. But if you can, if you can change those over, all of a sudden, a lot of things change.
That fixes
our,
a lot
our
of problems.
first drive might result in just automatic ding, 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 right down the field and score.
That fixes a lot of problems for sure.
Right. Those two small mistakes can be fixed.
Right.
Okay. See, this isn't going to be all miserable.
That's it. It's constructive. best it can be.
Yeah, well, getting my blood pressure down will be constructive.
There you go.
But so then we look at the things that are a little more troubling.
Okay.
So the play calling in respect to refusal to run the ball more,
which is so frustrating to a guy like me because I mean, if anybody knows me, I'm a run first, ask questions later kind of guy. I've always been. I mean, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the pass, but one of the things my coaches always used to tell me whenever it came to the passing game, it's like there's 3 outcomes whenever you throw the ball, and 2 of them aren't good. You can drop it, it gets picked off, or you catch it. That's about all.
Well,
and that's not to say that I don't like the pass game. I think it absolutely needs to be utilized, but you've got to be able to do it, not just hey, we're going to send Kellen out there and tell him to throw it 3 times.
Offensive series where you run 3 passing plays and punt drive me batty.
It's
but it's the same as running it 3 times and punting.
Right.
You just got to be a little bit more
mix
flexible.
It in.
You got to be a little bit more flexible.
Yes.
But like my problem is, and this is something that needs to be fixed in 5 days.
Right.
You've got to be able to run the ball against Alabama.
You have to. That's one of the things. Anytime with Alabama, you've got to be able to mix it up because that's a good defense. And you got to keep them on their toes.
It's not just between the tackles though.
No.
Mixing in a nice spiller between the tackles. Just
zones,
little
pitch
inside
out
zones, counters, pitch outs. Yeah, misdirections, counter pitches.
Right.
So please don't do any end around or reverses.
Those
Alabama defense is too the defense is too fast.
Right.
I got the point where in football, every time I see that go, I'm like, oh, dummy.
Here we go.
At any level.
Because they can read it now. It's like it's not as much of a
and they're
gimmick
just faster
anymore.
too.
Right.
So, but you got to be able to run the ball against Alabama, and you have to stick to running the ball with Alabama because what Vandy did to us was control the ball and limit our opportunities.
Right, and see, that goes back to one of the things Jimbo was talking about, which is he wants to run 70 to 80 plays a game.
Why? He doesn't run that many plays a game.
I looked at
not
our
under
numbers.
Jimbo.
Under Jimbo Fisher, we've not hit that mark once.
Aren't we like... I want to say someone was like 70 or 75, right?
If you don't count the LSU overtime game. Right. Outside of that, we just don't run that many plays.
That's just not Jimbo's offense. We don't utilize the hurry up enough, which is another thing that it's a stubborn point with him. And sometimes changing the tempo will change the game.
Right. And trust me, you can absolutely run kind of an old school style offense. You can run your tight ends, but it can be a hybrid. You can have a little bit of speed. You don't have to be full spread out all the time. But there's a lot of hybrid in there that you can run, and I just wonder if he's ever even thought about running that.
I'm just saying running up tempo between the snaps.
I like that.
Sometimes you just got to put the pedal down for a drive.
Well,
and if you do it for 3 or 4 plays and it works, and you kind of get stalled, then you can back off. Like it doesn't have to be a no huddle drive.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a huddle every drive. So the ability to kind of alter that tempo, and especially against a team like Bama. If you get them out there, you have a successful play because the defense they put out, your offensive personnel matches up well with their defense. Then you get on the ball and you run another play, and you get on the ball and you run another play. Because if you're not substituting, they can't substitute.
Exactly.
They can, but you don't have to wait for them.
Exactly. And so that's where we're at this point.
And vice versa. If you're going hurry up and you get caught, then you don't. You can slow down, and make the substitutions, go to a different personnel.
Right.
So it's just. There needs to be, but personally, I think when we go up tempo, we're better.
Right.
Not a whole game, but and more than what we've seen.
And I think that really plays a lot to the skill set of the players that we do have because we have a lot of really high talented players that not necessarily came from systems that were built on this more pro style offense. It's a lot more, like I said, most high schools out there, the way they run their stuff, it's almost always more up tempo. That's what they're teaching at that level right now. That's what's popular. It's what gets you in, especially in Texas. Now, I will say that's one thing that Jimbo does pretty well. he doesn't. I mean, he recruits Texas just fine, but he recruits out of state really well.
He does.
And
Well,
he brings in a lot of talent, a lot of diverse talent.
Well, we talked about this on the fan show, and we see this a lot, and it's aggravating just from a being able to from seeing it from the press box kind of thing.
Right.
The offense is getting the play in, they're getting lined up, and like nothing's quite settled yet. And you look up, and you're already at 20 seconds on the play clock, and we're not even aligned. We're not lined up. Mm-hmm. He's not even. Kellen isn't even looking at his reads yet.
Right.
And you just know that he's going to be rushed. If there's a passing play, something's going to get rushed.
Right.
And so something's got to change to speed that up just a little.
I agree.
And if it's up tempo, then it's up tempo, because if you give Kellen an extra, 5 seconds pre-snap, that should change the outcome, because you can more easily identify the defensive alignments. If they're going to make shifts, you have a little bit more time to catch them. If they make a personnel change, so all this stuff, but you're not giving him enough pre-snap time to make his reads, and that includes when you're starting to play the big boys. Alabama, even LSU.
Right.
I don't care how they play their defensive front, still their defensive front.
They will.
They're very they're pro style. A lot of slants, a lot of twists, a lot of stunts, and you have to give the offensive lineman the opportunity to see this stuff pre-snap.
Right.
So when you look up and it's there's 12 seconds left on the play clock, and we're just now finally getting set in, and he's even starting to get into his snap count.
Right.
And his pre-snap reads. You're putting pressure on
pressure.
You're putting pressure on the quarterback, on the receivers, even making their reads looking. You're putting pressure on these players that you can control. You can control the time constraint pressure.
Right.
You got to either get the play in faster or run an up tempo offense to where it just naturally comes in faster.
Right.
So there are a million different ways to do this, and man, I really hope, and I saw this a couple places, and I don't know if people were being serious or what, because I follow a lot of people on Twitter. And, and some of them are serious when I really don't think they are, and then I feel bad. But maybe, just maybe, everything was just super bland because they've got a ton of cards up their sleeve for Bama.
And
2 of those cards better be Demas and Ache.
Right. It's like I said, that was one thing I did see was Jimbo out here playing his cards close to the chest, didn't want to reveal too much. And I don't hate that idea, especially knowing that we are playing Alabama as early as we are, but also knowing Jimbo Fisher. When has he ever done anything like that?
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't pull rabbits out of the hat. That's not what he does. He's a straightforward guy. He just runs what he runs. That's why I'm a little concerned. I mean, I think
because if we run that, we're gonna go like 2-8.
I was about to say, if we do what we do, we might go 2-8, hell 3-7 if we're lucky. That's the problem with an all SEC slate. We always really well against our non-cons. SEC, that's where we have to build up our confidence in non-con before we get into SEC play. And the Auburns of the world, the Mississippi States of the world, those guys that we're kind of competing in that middle position for are going to wipe our ass. I mean, they're going to wipe the ass with us. They're going to kick our ass. It's not going to be fun. Now, I will say there was one other thing I did want to kind of touch on, because I know everybody and their dog wants to talk about it, and I'm obviously not going at it from a negative perspective, but everybody and their dog wants to talk about old QB1, killing
I thought you were going to talk about Levy.
Yeah.
He said everybody wants to talk about it.
But so they're talking about Kellen Mond and his play, and I'll go ahead and say very similarly to what we've already been discussing. I think a lot of it goes back to it's game one, But at the same time, the question is.
But it's not game one.
I'm about to say the question is at this point: is this just is Kellen Mond going to be Kellen Mond?
Look. Here's the problem, and I get it. Jitters, first game,
whatever.
Training camp was different. Man, he's been there too long to look like that at this point.
But, yeah, I agree.
It's this some of the same things that have been unfortunate with some of his throws. He just the touch on his deep ball that's a point that's just been belabored to death. Mm-hmm. It's not there. That's just it was is. I'd be willing to bet he probably hits on about 30%. 30 to 40%, and by hits I mean throws it in kind of the bubble he's trying to get to.
Right.
His touch is just it isn't great. His accuracy can be suspect at times. But I'm not telling you anything different.
No.
And here's what it. Here's where
this is old news.
Yeah, this is old news. So, like, the only thing that drives me batty is when he runs when he shouldn't, and when he doesn't run when he should.
Right.
Like, one of the things that makes Kellen and a successful quarterback is his legs. He's a mobile quarterback and he's fast.
Yes.
Okay, so if you can't throw the deep ball but you can run, all right, we can deal with this because if you can get these receivers the ball in space, let them do their thing, then you can run because
it opens up your game.
If the passing, and like his stat line, apparently it really wasn't that difficult.
Right.
It really wasn't that bad, and you had like the four of the first 5 passes or something like that were dropped.
I'm about to say drops. Drops are tough, and and especially like when you're hitting the guy in the numbers, that's the frustrating part right there. I mean, you definitely want.
Look, they're not going to catch every single ball, and I understand that.
No.
But when like an entire your first drive is just nothing but drops. There's a confidence thing in there that lends to both the wide receivers and the quarterbacks.
Right.
But his stat line wasn't bad if you look at his passing numbers.
He was 17 of 28 and had 189 yards passing, 1 touchdown.
So let's say 17 and 28. Let's say they catch all 4 of those.
Right.
So he's 21 and 28. So that's not bad. 75% completion.
Mm-hmm.
And how many yards did he have?
189. So you put
190. So let's give him.
Put over 200.
Yeah, it'd been like 230, 240, maybe even 250.
Right.
So the stat line isn't bad, but the problem is with that, how many yards did he run for?
It doesn't have a list.
Don't have rushing.
I mean, I can check and see what it showed, but
but he lost the ball twice. He coughed it up twice.
Yeah.
So
let's see, rushing. Yeah, he had 7 attempts for 22 yards rushing. He averaged 3.1 yards. Rushing.
Yeah, so not a ton.
No.
But and some of that's running when he didn't need to be running.
No.
But the problem is you put all that stat line together. One, it's kind of unimpressive given that's Vandy. But two, what's on that stat line? He did already picks, right?
Right. Well, yeah, no picks.
Yeah, no picks, but he still coughed the ball up twice.
Right.
That can't happen.
No.
And well, let's do this. How about this? You can't put the ball on the turf 3 times.
No.
Regardless of outcome.
Right. Yeah.
Okay?
Whether it's recovered or not.
Because if you're in the pocket and you fumble the ball and you fall on it, it's basically a sack relative to what you lose yardage.
Right.
Yardage wise. So he's got to be better. That's all there is to it.
That's absolutely true.
He could have played worse.
Don't
get me wrong. He could have played worse, but he has got to be better.
And that's not a contested point. Regardless of your stance on him, with any social issues, regardless of your stance on anything else, the end of the day, his number one job as the quarterback of this team is to take this team and put it in the best possible position to win. And he is a serviceable quarterback who has, at this point, he needs to be able to do the things that he's not doing. Namely, securing the ball. Namely, putting the ball in that bubble where it needs to be on those long passes. And having game awareness of when to run, when to stay in the pocket, when to get rid of the football. Just game awareness is the big thing.
Look, Kellen, he is what he is. If you don't know it at this point, then you haven't watched a lot of football.
Right.
He's a serviceable quarterback. And I can't remember, like Jordan Rogers or Jesse Palmer, I think. I saw a quote and they said, Kellen Mond he's so hard to peg because when they need him to be great, he's average, and when they need him to be average, he's great.
Right.
He's like this anomaly, but at the same time, like on Saturday, we just needed him to be average, and he barely was.
Yeah, I'm about to say he pulled out the game.
I would almost say when you take the fumbles into account,
right,
he was below average.
Mm-hmm. But like I said, it was definitely a subpar performance, especially on the offensive side, considering the team.
It was just poopy football.
It was poopy football, and what made it worse was the fact that this is the easiest game on the schedule, and we all know it. So at this point in time, we
don't know anything about Tennessee. Maybe South Carolina's worse.
Maybe South Carolina's worse.
A man can dream.
Well, that's the problem with the East, man. Like the East is just one of those conferences that is so hard to read what's going on over there.
I gotta stop that noise you just heard. I've never seen that. A dude just tooling down my street in a really loud gas-powered golf cart thingy.
And it was painted up like Michigan.
And he had a Michigan logo, and it was painted maize and blue. That was
odd.
What in the hell, man? 2020, man. 2020.
2020. I think that's a good enough point right there. But kill him on, go do your thing, kid. Obviously, I'm not in the camp of bench him.
Hold on. Hey, hold on.
Right.
Yeah, I had to hold on, man. So apparently he's out joyriding. But anyways, back to Kellen.
Right.
Look, this week you can't be serviceable. This is Alabama. So I'm not saying we need the greatest game Kellen's ever played, but it might need to be close.
Right, and I mean, like I said, this is going to be the test of the year. I mean,
this is put up or shut up time, and it's happening in week 2.
Right, and we can't sit back and say all this if what's whatever. You look at what our 2020 schedule was supposed to be, which was going to be Alabama late in the year. It was going to be Alabama and LSU back to back late, and there was a possibility, not a probability, but a possibility we could have been rolling into that game potentially 10-0, depending on how the rest of the games went. But that's not the world we live in. The world we live in now is Alabama week 2. And that's tough.
Well, look at it this way, though. And I know that Alabama, they won convincingly against Missouri, kind of put it in coast. But still the second game for Alabama.
Right.
All right. I still believe in our team. I've seen our offense perform at high levels.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe in our defense. So maybe, just maybe, squeaking by Vandy is the absolute kick in the nuts that some of these guys needed. Like, hey, now that you're done, now that we're all done with preseason polls and all this other crap, now it's time to play football.
Yep, and I think as we go forward, that will be certainly something to look into. So we pretty much touched on what we were hoping to see in week 2.
Here's specifically what I need to see. I need to see a devoted running game.
Sure, I agree.
I need to see. I'll just do offense first. I need to see a devoted running game. It goes without saying, wide receiver drops need to go away.
Right.
I need to see a devoted running game. I need to see our recruited speed straight up out on the field. Mm-hmm. And I need to see a lot of Jalen Weidemeyer.
I need to see a lot of him in there for sure. And I do want to see that young talent on that field.
Yeah, dude, if you run Demas and Achane out as decoys so you can throw 15-yard seams to Weidemeyer all day,
do it.
That's a win.
That's a huge win.
That's a huge win.
Because they're going to be keying on those freshmen.
Yep.
Because they're going to be like, oh, hey, we've heard nothing about these kids. We've heard everything about them. Let's go get them.
Yeah,
and that's going to open up the rest of the game.
Yeah, so, and defensively, honestly, all I need to see, I think the defense played well.
I'd say third down conversions need to not be a thing.
Yeah.
That needs to happen. Other than that, I mean...
They were on the field a lot, though.
They were on the field a lot.
Vandy or not, you're just on the field a lot, and the conditioning is an issue. If you can control the ball in the game, you're going to win just because everybody's conditioning is worse.
Right. And we definitely need to get some... Yeah, time of possession is going to be a big battle. And if we can win that battle, that's going to help.
Yeah, I mean, we just need to do what Vandy did to us. Control the ball, limit Alabama's opportunities. Again, this is all a lot easier for me to sit here.
Oh, dude, we can say it all day, but yeah.
But run the ball, milk clock. You don't have to have a ton of plays, but you have to have timely chunk plays.
That's right.
And then the secondary, I got to see more out of the secondary just because there's a difference between Vanderbilt receivers and the University of Alabama receivers.
Absolutely.
And the difference is about as wide as the Mediterranean Sea.
That's right. So, all the luck to our boys this week as they go on the road to Tuscaloosa. It's going to be a test. This kind of David and Goliath situation. Somebody bring a...
after all the pissiness.
Right.
I'll tell you right now, I'm looking forward to this game.
I agree. Like I said, this is going to be it's going to be the real test here, honestly.
I mean, you know me, I'm maroon Kool-Aid, maroon sunshine pumping kind of guy.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this game. Given this year, it would be so 2020 for us to go in there and win by 10.
Right. Anything is possible.
Just make absolute no sense, which is why it makes complete sense.
Right. And, I feel like I say that every year with Alabama, but you know what? Let's go and just hope they can pull it off and make it happen.
You got one game. It's one game at a time. It's the old coach speak, right?
Right.
You only focus on the play in front of you. But if we can really nail that, really just nail that in their heads and obviously they're going to be spending a ton of time in the tape room,
Right.
or in the film room. I'm looking forward to the game. I think it's going to be a good one.
Right. Perfect. All right, so this will be a good little
I
segue.
need to tweet less during football games.
Well, I'm in the same boat, man. I always like to tweet during football, and I know I'm going to be tweeting quite a bit, regardless of the result. So, like I said,
I have to ban myself from Twitter for the football game.
All right, so I do want to touch on some upcoming games this next week that we do have on the docket. South Carolina is going to Florida. Florida 18.5-point favorite.
Oh, Florida's going to cover. I don't think that Tennessee's really that good. So to lose at home to Tennessee, and then to go on the road to a Florida team who just put half 100 up on the road.
Yeah. That's
if you're giving. Let me put it this way: if you're going to give up that many points to Tennessee, you're going to give up a whole lot more to Florida.
There's definitely a possibility.
Now Florida did give up a lot of points,
right?
So then you're like, which offense is better, South Carolina or Ole Miss?
And we'll find
I'll
out.
tell you right now, I think a Lane
Florida.
Kiffin offense is better.
Right.
Just flat out.
I agree.
I didn't have to watch a South Carolina game for me to say that I'd put money on Ole Miss's offense being better.
No doubt.
So I think Florida covers. I think they cover easy. I think they might hit half 100 again.
Yeah.
It's almost like Mullins out to prove a point.
Right. And then next game here that I had on the list. Okay, so here we go. At 11 a.m. as well. Texas is hosting TCU. That's going to be 13-point favorite for Texas. Now, granted, TCU, I get it.
Y'all didn't hear it. I did pick this right last week. I thought the Sips were going to win, but I thought Tech was going to cover.
And they did.
And it was just the weirdness of Lubbock. That game in Lubbock is always just some weird stuff happens.
Weird stuff.
This year, something weird happened for Texas to win, which is different.
Which normally wouldn't happen up there in Lubbock. But,
the way
that's
around.
okay. But you got TCU at Texas, and the thing is, weird things happen in this game too.
I'll tell you what, it's weird how we've all seen the Tom Herman era struggle against Southwest Conference opponents.
Oh yeah,
it's so odd. Was it 13 something? 13 and a half? Is that what you said?
At 13 on the dot.
13. I think Texas wins, and I think TCU covers.
I think you're probably right.
Gary Patterson,
he's struggling.
He's struggling, but when Gary Patterson's struggling, it's at TCU.
It's at Texas.
It's at Texas. I don't know. If in Fort Worth, absolutely they cover. Because when Gary Patterson's down, the best thing that can happen for him is to see Tom Herman coming to town.
Right.
Because he's about to turn the season around.
Right. So you got it.
I'll stick with my pick. I think TCU will cover.
I think they will too.
Texas defense is not good.
No, they proved that.
They're most ungood.
Yeah, then you have Tennessee hosting Missouri, 11.5 points to Tennessee at Knoxville.
I think Tennessee wins. I think Missouri will cover.
11.5.
I mean, Missouri was able to put points up on Bama. Second straight Bama is probably better than first string.
Probably.
So
then you got
Tennessee wins. Missouri covers. Yeah.
All right. So all right, we'll just go ahead and keep on rolling here. They're ranked games that of consequence.
Not gonna be Army. I doubt they're ranked anymore.
Most of these aren't.
Speaking of rankings, while you're looking for a game, I think it's absolutely 100% fair that we fell in the rankings.
I agree. 100%. We
Absolutely.
look like poop. Of course we should have followed.
I'm absolutely fine with that.
Yeah.
And this is if you care about rankings,
this early.
Saturday's the one that matters anyways.
Right.
If you go out and pummel Vandy, you're not going to write. You weren't going to go up in the rankings a bunch.
No, we were probably going to maintain, if anything.
So, but if you care about rankings this early, then you should really care about this football game on Saturday.
Right. Exactly.
Because with less teams to jump in general,
that'll help.
Yeah.
That'll certainly help. Here you go. So just kind of an oddball pick, but here you go. We got Memphis at SMU, both undefeated. Memphis a 3-point favorite on the road in Dallas.
Who's that quarterback for SMU? He's been there 7 years. I can't remember what his name is.
Just for absolutely ever.
Yeah.
Well, it's Shane Buechele.
Yes, Buechele. Yeah.
Up to this point in the year, he has 7 TDs and 2 interceptions.
Memphis is such a good program, though. You said Memphis is 3-point dog?
No, they're a 3-point favorite.
Memphis is a favorite
on the road
in Dallas.
In Dallas.
Oh wow. Man, I don't even know how to pick that.
Line.
I'd take the over, and I don't care what you tell me it is.
Right.
You know what? I'll pick Southern Millionaires University to cover. I don't know if they'll win. I mean, a 3-point line with teams
tight.
like offensive teams like that.
Yeah, they don't have a spread yet. So, I mean, they don't have a line
Over
yet.
under.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm taking the over.
Right.
But yeah. You ask me about teams I don't know about or care about for that matter.
Sure.
Yeah, you know what? I'll go with SMU outright winning.
Why
the game.
not? Let them go get it.
Because I know that just pisses SIP fans off to see Bouchel playing
Right.
well.
Let's go into ESPN primetime 6:30 game. That's going to be Georgia hosting Auburn.
That's right.
Yeah, let's say for whatever reason CBS wanted our game over that one. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know, because if you don't know, it's what's the longest played rivalry in college football.
It's the oldest rivalry in the South.
And the nickname is good old fashioned hate.
It's a great name.
How can you not get into that game, man? It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I don't really like what I saw out of Georgia. If Georgia plays a first half like they did against Arkansas this week against Auburn, they're gonna get their doors blown off. What's the line?
The line is 7 even in favor of Georgia.
In favor of Georgia?
At home.
Auburn's going to cover. I think Auburn might win that game.
There's a possibility.
I would really like Georgia to win that game.
Sure, me
But
too.
I think Auburn...
It helps the West a little bit.
I think Auburn covers, though, absolutely.
Yeah. Tulsa, UCF don't care. Okay, here we go. So Mississippi State gets their chance to really show. And I think this is going to tell the real story of Arkansas. Mississippi State hosts Arkansas. They're 18-point favorites.
Oh, Arkansas's terrible.
Well, we know they're terrible. I think this is really going to show it, though.
I think you could put the line at 28.5, and I'd probably take it.
All right.
Oh yeah, no, this is going to be a bloodbath.
Okay. So here's your
like they might the 25% fans in attendance might stop ringing their cowbells out of pity.
Right. And then you got here you go, ABC night game. Iowa State hosting Oklahoma.
Oklahoma will bounce back.
And that's a 6.5 point favorite to Oklahoma on the road at Iowa State.
I think they'll cover. I think Oklahoma will bounce back. Oklahoma's just always good for one dumb loss a year. They got it out of the way early this year.
Yeah, exactly. And
I still think OU's going to win the Big 12.
They have their fair share of dumb losses to Iowa State, so we'll definitely see what happens there. Here you go. This is an intriguing game for us, and that is LSU at Vanderbilt, both 0-1. LSU is 20-point favorites on the road at Vanderbilt.
LSU burned me on my pick on the fan show last week, so I'm going to say Vandy covers.
Okay.
Because that's a massive spread, so it's not that hard of a pick.
Right.
I would love to see LSU implode.
Right. Just an absolute fall off the face of the world.
Oh, yeah, just like start 1-3. Like their only win is Vandy.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I'd be all in.
As long as Vandy covers, since I picked him to cover.
Exactly. So so that pretty much covers all the stuff we've got going on here this week. At this point, some other things we may want to touch on in the other sports realms.
Basketball is apparently still happening.
Yeah.
Oh well, no, excuse me. Alex Caruso is still happening.
Caruso. Like I said, he's going to the final against the Heat.
I'm just not a big NBA fan.
Me either. I never have been.
But it's easy to be. It's easy to be an Alex Caruso fan. So.
Right. I completely agree.
So I'll watch the scores and hope to see some really cool highlights. So yeah, basketball's happening. Baseball, the Stros made the playoffs. I'm having a hard time following baseball.
They limped into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time following baseball too. Well, football's back in swing, and especially in in a year that we didn't know if we were going to have football. Now that it's here, it's hard not to focus. It's hard to focus on anything other than football. My weekend was capped off perfectly.
I'm about to say, I had a good weekend as well. So
the Saturday it was a lot. It was so much. But college football was back. SEC was back. That CBS SEC theme music, which I love, fires me up. The Stars pulled it out to stick around and play again tonight.
Right.
And then West Ham on Sunday goes out and wins 4-0 against the Wolves. And
that's a big win.
Especially with the schedule coming up. They went from bottom of the table to 10th just because it's early.
Right.
So
it's huge.
So another fun weekend coming up. The slate of games is when the SEC's in conference play. There's going to be good games. There's just no way to get around it. So it's going to be good football. It's Bama week. It's Bama hate week.
Them Gumps.
Yeah.
Go get 'em.
I'm excited. I like Bama week every week. It doesn't matter what the outlook looks like.
I'm just so bummed I don't get to go to Tuscaloosa this year. I absolutely love that road trip.
Yeah.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, Tuscaloosa's a good one. Auburn's still my favorite.
Auburn's a great road trip, but man, I love going to Tuscaloosa.
But yeah, so I'm looking forward to a good weekend. Another good weekend. Try and squeeze in some more golf. And that's like my whole life now. I just watch football, play golf, watch Premier League, and work.
Right.
And yeah, things have been worse. Restaurant opened on Friday.
Yeah.
Had a great day Friday. Had a great day Saturday, despite it being like 25% capacity.
Right.
We just had no idea what to expect. But yeah, we're open back up. We're Tuesday through Saturday we do 11:30 to 6:30. Mondays we do a little quick express lunch 11:30 to 2:30.
Right.
Tomorrow will be the first day back, the return of, maybe that's a better way to put it, the return of Taco Tuesday.
Yeah. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, so Taco Tuesday's tomorrow, or I guess when this gets uploaded, it might be today.
It'll be today.
You'll be in Taco Tuesday.
Go get you some tacos.
Taco Tuesday will be in you.
Right.
But yeah, so that looks really great. The manager I hired, she's young and hungry, and she's motivated, and she's a really awesome worker. So it's nice to be able to be outside of the restaurant and not have to worry.
Yeah.
She's going to take good care of it. So if you're in town or if you come in town for a game or whatever, her name's Alicia. She is small in stature.
Yeah, I know her. She used to work at I'm pretty sure she used to work at Lane's for a long time.
Yeah. Sorry, but I stole her from Lane's.
And nothing wrong with that. Hey, she's a great worker.
She's awesome. She's awesome.
Fantastic.
Even got the stamp of approval from my daughter. So obviously she's highly involved in hiring processes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and so like I said, actually getting to do the self promotion this week. I will say, as we move forward, if you guys do ever come across anybody that might need some video production work, photos taken, anything else along those lines, feel free to give me a call. Like I said, DM me, any of that fun stuff. I do work with a company that we're called Texas Media Foundry. We just do video production primarily, but a lot of logo design and other stuff like that. So feel free to hit me up. Plus, I got a new Cricut for Christmas for my birthday. So if anybody needs a sticker or something, give me a holler too.
Christmas, you ain't Jesus.
Whatever. Also, be sure to let Kara Williams know because she needs the work too.
Oh yeah, Kara Williams. Oh gosh, you know her Twitter handle offhand?
Yeah, it's like Kara Williams, like with multiple S's, I think.
Yeah, Kara, Kara Williams. She does some pretty sweet work.
Oh yeah.
I've got one of her stickers on the back of my truck. As a matter of fact,
it is Kara_Williams with an extra S at the end. So be sure to give her a follow and tell her that we sent her your way. And she's fantastic. She's a wonderful person.
She does. She's been loaded down with like ring dunk pictures and like the little ceramic ring holder kind of things.
Yeah. And she's
she
killing
customized it all. And she's just a friend of ours. We're not getting anything out of it.
Nah.
But she does really awesome work, and I can personally attest. She did some stuff for me.
Same here.
She did coasters for me.
She did coasters for me too.
Got a U.S. Army Pathfinder sticker on my truck because you can't find U.S. Army Pathfinder bumper stickers.
No. So take good stuff from her, of course. And once again, guys, as we go into this next week, continue to do what you need to do in terms of social distancing, taking care of yourselves. We know the numbers aren't bad. We've seen them. We know what's going on here at this point. But in order to appease the overlords, i.e. Hot Wheels, we just need to go ahead and keep doing them.
Here, let me give you kind of a real general statement, which should cover all the bases.
Let's do it.
Just go be a good person.
Yeah.
And being a good person means if there are rules, you follow them.
Right.
And being a good person means if people around you are uncomfortable about something, you try your best to make sure that you're not the cause of their discomfort.
Right.
And I tell you what, I wish I had a massive platform for this PSA. If you see something happening, please put your phone down. Like when you see bad stuff happening, I'm so sick of seeing videos of these fights and these people getting beat up.
And they're filming it.
And everybody just wants to film it and they don't want to step in. Again, so just be a good person.
Be a good person. Yep.
That's what I try to do.
Be excellent to one another.
Yes, and party on, dudes.
And party on, dudes. Every day.
Man, that was on the other day. I love Bill and Ted's.
It's fantastic.
I don't care what the reviews say. I cannot wait to go. I'm renting out the theater here up on 6. Yeah, you can do it. You can rent it for like $100, $125. You can have 10 people. You get the theater to yourself.
Okay.
And you get to pick the movie. They got some retro throwbacks, and they do some new releases. So it's like $100, $125, man. Absolutely worth it. I don't think that includes concessions, but then just give me $40 worth of popcorn.
Right, and you give me a holler. I'm more than happy to do it.
Yeah.
I'm in on that.
Not taking volunteers right now.
No, that's fair. All right, so yeah, so that's all pretty much all we got for you for today. I think.
Just have a great week. Enjoy this weather.
It's wonderful.
Living in beautifully. So.
All right, so once again, Robert.
Starting to feel like football.
Robert White White 14 on Twitter. Roy May 15 on Twitter. I screw it up every time.
Maybe by the 20th episode you'll get it.
Yeah, but anyway, folks, and be sure to follow us along. And hey, also big announcement in case you missed it. We do have at this stage of the game. We do have our videos. We're going to be putting videos up on YouTube, which are going to be these episodes. So they're going to be under our RedAss podcast channel. So if you don't have Spotify, you can follow along with the podcast there too. So that gives you additional room in order to be able to get this stuff going.
Not actual video because you don't need to see our faces.
No, it's just it's gonna have a little banner with us on there.
Yeah.
Be sure to check it out. So if we'll be sure to post links for both Spotify and the YouTube link. So if you guys, whatever platform you prefer, whatever's easiest for you, feel free to get it. And of course, YouTube's gonna be easier to share. Do it. So we appreciate you guys coming along with our podcast. Gig 'em. You'll never walk alone.
Beat the hell out of Alabama.
Hell out of Bama.
Yeah, come on, you Irons. And off we go, man.
Off we go.
It's going to be a great week. Damn, a hate week.
Yeah, get some hate. All right. Y'all take care.
Gig 'em.